There will be 25 minutes during which I will give you a briefing of what real-time economy is and how it's going to evolve in the future. And after that, we will have 5 minutes for your questions, comments, and remarks. And in case if we run out of time, my team and I will be happy to address these questions in the afternoon session. As also here in the audience, we have Jari Karkanen, who has been the real-time economy stream lead, guiding and supervising our work. Thanks a lot. Yes. Agenda. We are going to look into what real-time economy is at the moment. What is the vision and roadmap for the real-time economy? How we can validate and evaluate real-time economy innovations, and how the electronic receipts can evolve in the future. What is real-time economy and what its current state? To be honest with you, when this project just started, many of us were a bit overwhelmed and excited because it's in a way a wicked problem because it can mean so many things. And timing can also mean different things in different cultures. So, for example, timing of future would mean different things in Swedish and Estonian culture. And our goal was to build the bridges and find common things, common topics and challenges among very, very different cultures and among 7 countries. So Estonia, Finland, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Denmark. Hopefully I didn't forget any of the countries. And we also learned a lot from Norway as well. Yeah, we tried to find out some definitions, what real-time economy means. For us, first of all, it's about being digital. So currently you can see a lots of papers here, but please ignore them. We will be also in PwC moving a bit towards the digitalized world as well. It's about being seamless because we already have so many challenges in the current society, so many crises and worries in our mind. So when it comes to starting a business, we want to make it as effortless as possible. And once only means that if you submit your data to the government, you don't need as a citizen to submit it again and again, because this data can smoothly flow from one authority to another authority. And it's also about data. And there are so many definitions of data and so many perspectives of data as well. Some people say that data is a new oil or something that can enable making decisions and making right decisions in very uncertain times. And it's also about building the bridges between different countries, making it easier to enter new markets. So first, I can start my business in Helsinki, but if I want to scale up as a small enterprise, I also want to enter Swedish or Estonian market and do it with minimal effort so I can reach my audience as soon as possible. It's also a lot about standards, because if we don't have standards, we are going to do the same thing 7 times and then try to build integrations and build different puzzles together. And real-time economy is also about ecosystem, because it's about a puzzle and bringing very different elements together, bringing people, bringing computers, data elements, and creating some smooth flow between very different elements. And of course, it's not about automating just one thing, like setting a new business, but it's also about making daily business interactions easier. So if you submit your value added tax return, if you need to report your corporate income, you should do it smoothly and easily every day throughout the business life cycle of your company. So just to sum up, it's a lot about building a digital and smooth ecosystem where we can make the life of businesses easier. And even though we have representatives both of public and private sector, we find it's important that we first cater the interest of the businesses, and the government acts as enabler for that. Moving next, and hopefully you can see it as there a bit of tourist block in the way, but I would like to give you some overview of the building blocks of real-time economy. Essentially, it's a lot of building blocks and a lot of overwhelming topics as well. So first of all, we have worked on electronic invoices, which is about invoices that are digital and they come in standard format that makes it easier to transfer data from one entity to another. So if you just scan the paper invoice, it's not an electronic invoice because you cannot do anything with this data. But if you have the electronic invoicing app in your phone and you issue invoices in standardized format, then we talk about electronic invoices. Next, we have electronic receipts, and that's a proof of payment. So it builds on the topic of electronic invoices, and it also comes in a structured format. Next, we also have electronic waybills. So if you are a truck driver crossing the border, bringing the goods from one country to another, electronic freight documentation makes your life much easier. And thanks to the waybills, we also get our goods on the shelf much faster. Next, we also have real-time product information. So for example, in Finland, when I buy products in S Group and I use my mobile phone loyalty application, I get information about all my purchases and I get analytics about carbon footprint, about dietary restrictions, and that's all enabled through the product data. So if I buy 1 kilogram of sugar, the application also estimates the carbon footprint that my purchasing decision makes. And real-time product information is a basis for sustainability reporting. Next, automated and real-time reporting data. It's all about making sure that you don't write all your tax figures on paper and send the declaration somewhere. It's about getting the tax returns per field based on your transactions data and making compliance as easier and smoothless as possible for the enterprises. Next, we have automated know your customer procedure. And that's a very important topic because if you want to scale, most likely you have to open a bank account in a foreign country. And then even inside Europe, it's still not as smooth as possible because our IDs come in different format, crime registers are not standardized. So it takes some effort to prove who you are when, for example, you decide to go abroad and set your company there. Real-time e-procurement is a very interesting topic as it brings together all the elements of purchasing cycle, starting from request for purchase and all the way up to payment documentation. And it's a lot also about bridging the gap between electronic documents and smoothless tendering procedures. And last but not least, we also have real-time supply chains. Current world is quite uncertain, and logistic chains become more and more complex. So in order for us to stay resilient, we need to make sure that all our logistics chains are digitalized, and decisions that the government and private stakeholders take are also based on them real data and accurate data as well. So here we have an overview of the building blocks, and that creates a basis for the next topic that we are going to address. Stakeholders. I think that our project has been a lot about not just getting some knowledge or writing reports or, let's say, come up with 3 main findings. It's a lot about bringing people together, because all technology, no matter how digital or advanced it is, it's about people and how people view technology. Is technology fearsome to them? Is it overwhelming, or they see it as their friend? So here we have quite many stakeholders present here on the map. 7 countries, and in addition to that, we also had best practice visits to Norway, Australia, and Singapore. And thanks for PwC team for making the space. We had a bit of logistics challenges here, but hopefully you can see it a bit better now. And great cooperation between stakeholders. And I would like to personally thank you, all of you, for making this way, taking ferry or taking a plane to share our inspiration and the stories together today. And as I have said before, it's not about just public sector trying to come up with some policies or legislation or ways to incentivize the business. It's also a lot about business communicating their needs. It's about facilitators and bridge builders, and PwC in this case has acted as a bridge between many sectors and many stakeholders groups. And we really hope that after this project, this complex stakeholder system stays alive and stays vibrant as well. Yeah, ecosystem. So, what is the ecosystem? It's a lot about lots of connections, expectations, elements that enable impossible things. So, moving the data from one place to another in milliseconds can act a bit as impossible, but I guess we can also make impossible be possible. It's about governments, citizens, and businesses. And they all together do very different activities. It's forecasting based on the accurate and real-time data. It's automation. So, for example, automating the process of prefiling tax returns. It's also about competitiveness, because we need to ensure economic growth and we need to ensure sustainable economic development in the current situation of uncertainty. Savings, because currently every minute that we spend on the compliance takes 1 minute away from making the actual business, looking for business partners, and signing the new deals. Connectivity is about bringing all parties together, and it's also about growing the trust in the government. And all together, we come to the topic that we address today. System is about technology and people, and bringing them together through technological infrastructure, through legislation policymaking, and through raising awareness and educating on this topic. As with any wicked problem or very complex problem that we have in our society, there will always be certain challenges, and there will always be ways to overcome these challenges. So when we think about barriers, there are lots of barriers currently, and they have to deal with many questions of human psychology, way how resourcing is built inside companies and inside public sector. It's also about building interoperable and smooth technology infrastructure. So it's many aspects of technology, legislation, organization brought together. And if someone asks me what is one main barrier that we need to overcome and we need to think about after this conference ends, is the trust. It's a trust in your business partner. It's a trust in the government. Trust in technology, because technology can have both dark sides but also bright sides, and we need to be on the bright side of technology. So how we actually work towards the trust is a very complex question. But most important is to share the vision and to make sure that we work together on thorough financing, thorough technological development, sharing resourcing, and making sure that ideas and thoughts flow very effortlessly across the region. Vision. I think building the vision was a most complex question in our project, because it's something that doesn't exist yet. And that's about kind of working towards the future and building the future through your own effort and through your creativity as well. It's a lot about healthy, sustainable, and productive business environment. And now on the European level, there has been discussion about data spaces, which enables the smooth transition of data between different places. For example, health data spaces ensure that also businesses can easily tap into the health data and enable innovation that kind of makes the healthcare system more resilient. It's also about making sure that advanced technologies that we use, such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, gain the trust and they're used for the good, not for the bad. And result that we want to achieve is a lot about sustainable infrastructure, about cooperation, and about trust and protecting the data of businesses, their trade secrets, making sure that all data that we take in order to enable competitiveness and ensure economic growth. Roadmap is something that make vision happen, because vision is not something that stays on paper. Here we have identified several elements that we want to address. It's about being strategic and choosing the right priorities. It's also about making data spaces interoperable, meaning that the data you take from one place goes smoothly and securely to another place. Innovation, creativity, and measuring our success and scaling up. It's a lot about taking startup mindset and bringing it to the government side as well. And keeping the momentum throughout this journey is very, very important. And that's why this topic is going to be one of the topics that we will also address during the brainstorming this afternoon. And here we also talk about quick wins, or so-called low-hanging fruits. So something that we can easily pick and implement as soon as possible. And for us, we believe it would be setting up community of practice. So creating this cool tribe of people who work together and exchange their thoughts, as well as building a central inventory of solutions. Because reinventing the wheel and fragmented cooperation is something that we want to avoid by any means. Innovations. What innovation is actually a real-time economy innovation is quite a good question. Because we don't want to strategically invest in wrong projects, in wrong ideas. And there are lots of ideas around, so we need to pick a correct and right one. So our goal has been to create a matrix and to create certain questions to validate the ideas. And this matrix can be used as a basis for hackathon providers, for fund coordinators, and many other stakeholders as well. And this validation model would also help us to spot any potential risks or problems well in advance. We wanted to make this model as simple as possible. That's why we only have 2 steps. Is it real-time economy solution or not? And whether it's good enough, talking about legal and policy-making aspects, talking about technology, strategy, ethics, and other perspectives as well. So we come up with idea, it goes through the cycle, and if the idea passes certain criteria, then it's validated and we can move forward and go towards joint cooperation, funding applications, and many other aspects as well. And just same as all other findings, you will be able to find further information in the reports, and we have provided the links in the welcome email for this conference. Last but not least is the eReceipt service model. And this is a very interesting question, because out of all reports that we have addressed, it was most technical one. And this is based on the idea that wherever we do any purchase, the proof of this purchase should be electronic, and it can be used as a basis for pre-filling tax returns, warranty schemes, and product information as well. And electronic receipts should also be based on a very clear infrastructure that ensures easy reporting and analytics, as well as connection with different integrations and APIs, as well as governance. And this is also the idea of enabling both smooth business transactions as well as smooth government reporting. Same as with any other topics that we have addressed, it's a lot about securing stakeholder buy-in, pitching your idea and making sure that this is something that creates trust, creates engagement, and make you innovative and excited about applying it. It's also about making sure that legislation supports innovation. So when we talk about that, we talk about sandbox approach. So lawmakers, in-house lawyers, policy officers should take a bit of software developer hat on and think about how developer thinks and how you can test different pieces in a very interactive manner and make it iterative process of developing, testing, developing again. And last but not least, it's a lot about technical implementation and interoperability. Laws should be compatible. Terminology that we use should also be easy to understand. We should utilize application programming interfaces as much as possible. And we should also ensure that organizations are ready for the innovation. Thank you.